Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. So, before we launch into today's letter, I wanted to share a couple of things the Lord highlighted to me while I was receiving this word from Him. First, I saw the Canadian flag, and He showed me the three-pronged attack that is underway against the Canadian people aimed at stifling speech through national legislation. Then the Lord honed in on America. And I immediately saw a throng of hostile people with fists raised, yelling out demands that muzzles be put on anyone they deemed dangerous. The scene then shifted, and I saw a few states in this nation that are already laying the groundwork to criminalize certain types of speech in their communities. And then I heard the Lord say this. Do not think the enemy will let up on his attack upon this nation called America, just because the courts of man have ruled against him. He will simply look for other routes to advance his evil scheme to claim dominion over her people. Then, like it or not, the battle over this nation has come to the doorstep of every citizen. For surely the right to free speech is still under attack. While some have already agreed with the idea to put restrictions upon the First Amendment, as a protective measure to curb what they have deemed as hate speech, these have yet to recognize just how precarious is their position. For in an instant, that same muzzle they would readily have placed upon others, shall they soon learn also applies to them. Sadly, these do not realize that they are merely being used as pawns in a much more sinister game, and thus are viewed as expendable by those pushing forth the agenda to curtail speech. See then the tyranny that is happening just beyond America's northern borders, where that government has broadened its reach through legislated censorship. So too are similar forms of dictatorial policies being considered upon these shores, though in a lesser sense, as there is as of yet no federal mandate set. However, in a few states, the bureaucrats have already begun pushing forth legislation that would criminalize a person's words. For once a legal precedent is established that the government has the right to determine which speech is lawful and which is not, so shall others follow suit, demanding their citizens fall into line or be penalized. Ah, then this is a nation already under siege, though a vast number of her populace have yet to realize this is true, as these Americans are more interested in the lesser matters of life, and therefore do not recognize that their civil liberties are under attack. Know that a targeted strike has surely been launched, that if not thwarted, shall lead to the undoing of this nation, for it is upon this First Amendment that all the others rest. Oh, how far removed is this nation from the vision held by her founding fathers. Indeed, has the governmental system they established been exploited. As for decades, have those who were elected to office misused their positions of authority to weaken the very framework of this republic. Yet none more so than now, for this current administration and those in league with them have made it their mission to fundamentally change this nation so that she no longer stands as a bastion of freedom. Then the sobering reality is this, that the America which once was shall never be again, as it is only a portion of her former glory that I am able at this point to restore. For like Esau, who sold his birthright for a bowl of soup, so too shall the younger generation now occupying these shores willingly trade their inheritance for momentary gratification, as these have not been taught to hold dear nor respect in others the very liberties they themselves enjoy. Even still, all hope is not lost for this nation called America, for there yet exists a remnant of those loyal to my kingdom, those who not only regard their freedoms as precious, but also remember that Yahweh is their maker and king, and thus have not given up on the fight to remain free. But these do not fight with the carnal weaponry used by most patriots, for it is the sword of the Spirit and the shield of faith that these employ when contending against any foe. They understand that their real enemy dwells outside of this physical realm, and so must be addressed upon that same spiritual plane. Hear me then, those who line my ranks from this nation called America. Do not delay in your response to this current attack on your civil liberties. For though this latest assault may have not occurred within your own state, you can be sure that this same evil agenda is headed your way. Stand then upon the name of my Son, and with swords drawn, declare his authority over this nation. Then cry out to me and ask that I continue to uphold this Constitution and those freedoms which are innately yours. Thanks again for joining me today.